The galaxy was quiet but not peaceful. Millions of worlds sparkled in the endless darkness, each ruled by alien empires with strange laws and stranger leaders. Starships traveled between planets like ants on invisible bridges of light, carrying diplomats, soldiers, and traders who obeyed their rulers without question. Among these empires, the oldest and most powerful believed in one thing: humans were extinct. They were right as far as anyone knew. Humans were mentioned only in old records, half-forgotten stories, and academic discussions that rarely mattered in the halls of power. Some described humans as fragile creatures who had tried to reach the stars too soon. Others told of their brief but brilliant existence, their unexpected inventions, and the strange, almost magical ability to adapt to any environment. But the galaxy had moved on. Humans were myths. Humans were nothing. And yet, somewhere in the swirling darkness of the stars, remnants of human brilliance waited quietly, unnoticed by those who ruled. Karen, a young historian from the Drixari Empire, had always been fascinated by old civilizations. While most Drixari scholars focused on alien politics or the latest warships, Karen's curiosity pulled him toward forgotten worlds, extinct species, and abandoned technologies. He had read every mention of humans he could find, decades of reports, secondhand stories, and ancient star maps. Each clue fascinated him, even if the galaxy treated them as irrelevant. "What are you searching for this time?" asked Jara, Karen's assistant, her eyes flicking over the data screens on their small exploration vessel. She was careful, meticulous, and practical, a perfect complement to Karen's restless imagination. "I don't know yet," Karen admitted, leaning back in his chair. "Something important. Something everyone else misses. Humans were never ordinary." "I can feel it," Jara raised an eyebrow. "Feeling it won't make it true. We could spend years chasing myths." "Maybe," Karen said softly. "But sometimes myths are only truths waiting for someone brave enough to find them." The small vessel hummed as it drifted through a quiet sector near the edge of known space. Most maps marked this region as uncharted or dangerous, filled with dead planets and asteroid fields. But Karen had noticed something unusual, a faint signature of energy buried beneath centuries of dust storms. He believed it could be human in origin. As they approached the coordinates, the planet came into view, a gray, lifeless sphere surrounded by a thin, swirling atmosphere. Its surface was scarred by winds and storms, a world that had been abandoned for thousands of years. "It looks dead," Jara muttered, scanning the planet's surface. "Not dead," Karen corrected, his voice almost reverent. "Sleeping. Waiting." The vessel descended slowly, navigating through violent gusts of wind that tore across jagged rock formations. Karen gripped the controls, focusing on every vibration, every shadow that passed over the instruments. His heart raced with a mixture of fear and excitement. If he was right, no alien had set foot on this planet in millennia. If he was wrong, he would return with nothing but dust and disappointment. Finally, the ship landed in a wide open plain surrounded by ruined structures. Massive stone buildings, their shapes impossible to understand at first glance, rose from the sands like ghosts. Towers leaned at impossible angles, and bridges stretched across gaps as if connecting worlds that no longer existed. The ruins were silent, yet they radiated a strange presence. Karen felt it deep in his chest, a quiet hum that spoke of intelligence far greater than he had imagined. Jara stepped out first, her sensors scanning every inch of the ruined city. "Nothing alive here," she reported. "No animals, no plants, no robots, just stone and dust." "Yet someone built it," Karen said, stepping onto the cracked ground. "And that someone was human." Jara glanced at him, skeptical, but she followed. The two explorers moved carefully through the ruins, their footsteps echoing in empty halls and broken streets. Ancient markings covered the walls, lines, circles, symbols that seemed to tell a story without words. Karen's eyes widened as he studied them. "These markings," he whispered. "They aren't just decorations. They're instructions, diagrams, something functional." "Functional for what?" Jara asked, scanning the walls for anything they could recognize. "I don't know yet," Karen admitted. "But it's not just architecture. This was a living city, powered by knowledge we don't fully understand." They entered a large building, its roof collapsed in some places but intact in others. Inside, they found remnants of machines, broken panels, and strange devices unlike anything in the current galaxy. Karen ran his hands over the cold metal. It vibrated faintly as if sensing his touch. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a wall covered with glowing lines. "It's a map of stars, entire systems, and look at the energy flows here. This is human technology, ancient, yes, but incredibly advanced. Faster than anything our empires have today." Jara frowned. "Are you saying humans were more advanced than us?" "I'm saying they were different. And different doesn't always mean extinct." As they explored, Karen's sensors picked up a faint signal deep beneath the city. It pulsed slowly, rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. He followed it down winding staircases and through dark corridors until they reached a massive door, covered in markings that glowed faintly. The signal grew stronger here. "This is it," Karen whispered. "Whatever is inside, it's still alive in some way." He reached out to touch the door. The moment his fingers brushed the surface, the entire wall shimmered, and a soft light filled the room. Symbols rearranged themselves, forming patterns Karen had never seen before. Then a voice echoed through the chamber, calm and clear. "Welcome back, human." Karen froze, his heart hammering. He turned to Jara, who stared wide-eyed at the walls. Neither of them spoke. The voice continued, repeating the words with a strange authority. Yet no one else was there. I don't understand," Karen stammered. "There's no human here." "Not yet," the voice said, fading into a hum. "But the legacy remains. You are chosen to witness it." For hours, Karen and Jara studied the chamber. Holograms flickered to life, showing humans building starships, exploring distant planets, and creating machines that seemed almost alive. Humans moved with purpose, yet they were not conquerors. They were builders, explorers, thinkers. Every invention was meant to protect, to understand, to survive, not to dominate. Karen realized the truth. The galaxy had been wrong. Humans were not weak, not extinct because of failure. They had hidden themselves and their greatest creations until a time when they would be needed again. Jara finally spoke, her voice trembling. "If this is true, if humans return, the galaxy will never be the same." Karen nodded, staring at the glowing lines on the walls. "Yes, and it will start here with us. We've found the first clue, but there are more. They left signs everywhere. The legacy worlds, they're out there waiting." Outside, the winds howled across the ruined city, carrying dust and sand into the ancient corridors. The stars above shone as they had for millennia, indifferent to the small explorers below. But something had changed. A spark of history had awakened, and with it the galaxy would soon learn that humans were not just a memory. They were a force that could not be ignored. Karen knew the journey ahead would be dangerous. Alien empires would never ignore a discovery like this. They would want the ruins, the technology, and the secrets humans had left behind. But Karen also knew that he had seen something extraordinary, a glimpse of a civilization that had quietly shaped the stars, and perhaps still could. And in that quiet, ruined city, surrounded by echoes of a past long forgotten, Karen felt a thrill unlike anything he had ever known. He was no longer just a historian. He was a witness to the return of humanity's legacy, and the galaxy was about to change forever. The planet's wind tore across the ruined city, whipping sand and dust into the explorers' eyes. Karen and Jara had spent hours in the ancient chamber, trying to understand the strange human technology that had awakened. The holograms showed humans moving among starships larger than anything the galaxy had ever built, machines powered by energy no one could name, and cities that spanned continents. Every image left Karen both awed and unsettled. "This technology," Jara whispered, running her sensors across the walls. "It's impossible. Our strongest engines couldn't match what they built." Karen nodded, tracing his fingers over a glowing panel. "They weren't just strong. They were clever. Every machine, every building, it's designed to last, to adapt, to survive without constant care. They thought long-term. We barely last a decade before we scrap old tech." Jara looked around nervously. "If the galaxy ever finds this place, they won't know what to do with it," Karen said softly. "They see humans as myths. They think extinct species can't surprise them. But we're about to prove them wrong." The chamber hummed, responding to Karen's presence. Lines of light moved across the walls, forming a map. At first it looked like random symbols, but then he noticed a pattern. The map highlighted certain star systems. Some were marked with circles, others with triangles, and a few with shapes he could not identify. "These are locations," Karen said, awe rising in his voice. "They're pointing to other places humans left behind. Other legacy worlds." "Legacy worlds?" Jara asked. They're planets humans used before disappearing. They might have more ruins, more technology, more clues about who humans really were. Karen paused, his eyes fixed on the glowing lines. If we find these worlds, we might understand why humans left and why the galaxy forgot them. Jara looked uneasy. And if anyone else finds them first? Karen didn't answer. He already knew. Alien empires would never ignore such a discovery. But for now they were alone. The ruins had chosen them as witnesses, and the planet seemed alive, humming softly as if approving of their presence. He took a deep breath and moved deeper into the underground facility. The chamber opened into a long corridor lined with strange devices. Some pulsed with light, others projected floating images of star systems. Every step revealed more human ingenuity. Machines that repaired themselves, holograms that recorded detailed star maps, and tools that seemed to respond to thought alone. This is incredible, Karen said, voice echoing. They didn't just explore the stars, they mastered them. Jara touched a small panel and recoiled as a holographic image flickered to life. It showed a human laboratory. Scientists in clean suits worked together, building complex machines, discussing calculations, and activating devices that seemed impossible to comprehend. One machine extended across the room, a network of energy conduits glowing in soft blue light. Look at this, Jara said, pointing. It's like they made the whole city intelligent. It knows what to do without humans touching it. Karen nodded. Exactly. And it's still functioning. After thousands of years. As they moved further, they entered a chamber larger than any building above ground. Its walls were covered in glowing scripts, some geometric, some flowing like water. In the center lay a massive platform. Around it, holographic images of humans activating massive starships floated in midair, moving across the galaxy. They were explorers, not conquerors, Karen said. Look at how they build. They protect worlds. They connect systems. They don't destroy, Jara frowned. Then why did they disappear? The facility pulsed again as if answering her question. A door at the far end of the chamber slid open, revealing a descending stairway. Faint light shimmered from below, drawing them down. Karen hesitated, then began the descent. Jara followed, her steps careful, scanning every corner. The stairway led to a hidden hall filled with devices that Karen could barely comprehend. Floating screens displayed complex star maps and energy patterns. Machines that seemed dormant at first flickered to life as he approached, responding to his presence. Some screens showed coordinates far beyond the galaxy's known regions. Others displayed blueprints of incredible starships. This is a vault, Karen whispered. Everything humans created. Stored here, preserved for someone to find. Someone like us? Jara asked. Perhaps, Karen said, touching one of the panels. It responded instantly, projecting a holographic figure of a human. The figure spoke, though no sound came from the walls. Instead, the words appeared as glowing symbols that Karen instinctively understood. We built to last. We hid to survive. One day the galaxy will need our knowledge. You are the witness, Jara's eyes widened. They planned this, knowing we might come, or knowing someone like you might find it? Karen didn't answer. The weight of the moment pressed upon him. Humans were not extinct. They were hidden, waiting. And they had left instructions not for conquest, but for understanding. He explored the hall further, discovering small pods lined along the walls. Most were empty, their contents long gone, but one seemed intact. Its surface was smooth and metallic, and light pulsed faintly from inside. Karen's heart raced. This could be a storage pod, he said. It might contain information, or something else. Jara placed a hand on his arm. Be careful. We don't know what's inside. Karen nodded, but his curiosity overcame caution. He activated the pod. A soft hiss echoed through the hall, and a holographic interface appeared above it. Streams of data filled the air. Starship schematics, energy formulas, planetary surveys. It was knowledge beyond imagination. They left everything here, Karen said, voice trembling. All their discoveries, all their technology. They trusted that someone worthy would find it. Jara shivered. And now, that someone is us. For hours they explored the chamber, uncovering more secrets. Maps pointed to distant worlds. Archives displayed human history in vivid detail. And machines hummed as if welcoming them. Each discovery made Karen more certain. Humans had not been weak or primitive. They had chosen to vanish, leaving behind a legacy the galaxy had forgotten. Finally, Karen paused in front of a massive wall, filled with glowing symbols. The holograms aligned, forming a pattern he recognized from his research. It was a star map, but not of the current galaxy. It showed regions unknown, filled with stars humans had visited long before alien civilizations recorded history. They explored further than anyone thought, Karen said softly. Far beyond our records, they might still be out there. Jara looked at him, concern and wonder mixed in her eyes. If the galaxy knew about this, empires would destroy everything to claim it. They don't care about knowledge, they care about power. I know, Karen admitted. But we need to understand first. If we can follow their maps, we might learn why they disappeared, and why the galaxy forgot them. The ruins pulsed again, light flowing across the walls as if acknowledging their determination. Karen felt a connection to the long-lost humans, a silent understanding that they had left their legacy for a reason. He realized that discovery was only the beginning. The galaxy was unaware of the storm approaching, one that would challenge every empire and redefine history. As the two explorers prepared to leave the chamber, Karen glanced back. The ruins were alive in ways the galaxy could never imagine. Machines hummed, holograms flickered, and the air seemed charged with energy. Humans had hidden not just technology, but a message. Intelligence, patience, and wisdom could outlast time itself. The ruined planet remained silent except for the soft hum of the ancient facility. Karen and Jara had spent days exploring its chambers, uncovering machines and maps that hinted at a civilization far beyond the understanding of any alien empire. Each discovery left Karen both exhilarated and uneasy. If the galaxy learned of this place, countless fleets would descend in an attempt to seize the secrets. Yet Karen's fascination grew stronger with every step. The facility seemed almost alive, responding to him as if it recognized a kindred spirit. Holograms of humans continued to project their past accomplishments. Massive starships gliding through space, cities built with intelligence and foresight, energy systems that flowed like rivers, and technology that seemed almost magical in its precision. They weren't just survivors, Karen said, eyes fixed on a projection of a human starship assembling itself in orbit. They were creators, explorers, thinkers. They built not to conquer, but to understand. Every invention had purpose and care behind it. Jara scanned the room, concern etched across her face. And yet they vanished. Left all of this behind, why? If they were so powerful, why disappear instead of ruling the stars? Karen hesitated. He did not yet know the answer. All he knew was that humans had left these ruins intentionally, hiding their greatest creations. The holographic maps displayed multiple star systems labeled as legacy worlds, places where humanity had left clues, technology, and knowledge. If we follow these maps, Karen said, we could uncover everything they left behind. Every secret. Every world. Jara nodded, though she looked wary. But we can't do it alone. Alien empires will not ignore this forever. They'll come, and they'll destroy anything they can't claim. Karen's expression grew determined. Then we must understand humans first. Only then can we protect their legacy and perhaps change the galaxy. As they explored a deeper level of the facility, Karen noticed a section unlike any other. The walls were lined with smooth metallic panels, and a faint energy pulsed beneath them, like a heartbeat. In the center of the room stood a massive circular platform, covered in symbols that glowed softly. This is different, Karen whispered. It's a control hub. The humans didn't just leave technology, they left systems that can still function. Machines that can think for themselves. Jara stepped closer, scanning the surface. It's enormous. Could it really still work after all these years? Karen touched one of the panels gently. Immediately the platform activated. Light spread across the floor, forming a three-dimensional star map. Points of light pulsed across the galaxy, highlighting distant systems, energy flows, and routes between planets. Some systems were familiar, part of current galactic maps. Others were unknown, deep in unexplored space. They charted more than the galaxy we know, Karen said in awe. They went beyond what any empire has reached. They may still exist in some form. Suddenly, a series of holographic figures appeared representing humans. They were builders, scientists, and explorers, working together on massive machines. Their movements were precise, graceful, and purposeful. The images showed humans communicating across vast distances, coordinating the construction of starships, and activating energy conduits that spanned entire continents. They weren't just strong, Karen murmured. They were coordinated, clever, beyond anything the galaxy imagines. Jara stepped back, overwhelmed. It's beautiful. They weren't violent. They weren't greedy. They created, protected, explored. Why did the galaxy forget them? Karen's fingers hovered over a set of controls. A new projection appeared, humans standing before a massive device, a starship of unimaginable size. The hologram showed them activating it, sending it into orbit. Yet even as they wielded such power, their expressions were calm, almost humble. They weren't conquerors, Karen said. They built to protect, not to dominate. They valued knowledge, life, and discovery more than power. Jara's eyes widened. And we're the first to see this in thousands of years. No one else knows. No empire would ever believe it without seeing it. Karen nodded. And that's why it must remain safe, at least until we understand it. As they explored further, they entered a chamber that seemed almost like a library. Holographic archives hovered in midair, containing data on countless worlds. Planetary surveys, energy calculations, starship blueprints, and even personal logs of human scientists filled the space. Karen realized that humans had left everything behind. Every discovery, every achievement, every lesson. This is incredible, Karen said. They left a complete record of their civilization, and it's all still functional. Jara touched one of the holograms, and a map of an unexplored system appeared. Look at this. These planets, no empire knows about them. They could hold technology we can't imagine. Karen traced the lines of energy flowing between the systems. They were connected. Every world, every invention, every discovery, part of a larger plan. Humans thought long-term. They weren't just surviving, they were preparing. Jara stepped closer, her voice quiet. Preparing for what? Karen didn't answer immediately. He studied the maps, the holograms, and the archives. There was a pattern, a logic humans had left behind, but the full purpose remained a mystery. All he knew was that humans had hidden their power for a reason. They had chosen to vanish not because they were weak, but because the galaxy was not yet ready for them. Hours passed as they explored, discovering energy cores, dormant drones, and devices that seemed to anticipate their needs. One particular hologram caught Karen's attention, a massive machine designed to defend entire worlds. The human engineers stood before it, activating its systems. It was a defense mechanism unlike anything in current galactic arsenals. Efficient, precise, and non-lethal unless needed. They didn't want to destroy, Karen said softly. Even their weapons, they were designed to protect, not to harm unnecessarily. Jara shivered. If the galaxy knew about this, every empire would want it. They wouldn't care about protecting or understanding. They would just take it, Karen nodded. And that's why we must be careful. Knowledge without understanding can be dangerous. Humans knew this. They left their legacy for those who could respect it, not for those who would abuse it. The facility pulsed again as if acknowledging his words. Energy flowed through the walls, illuminating the ruins in a soft glow. Karen felt a strange connection, as though the humans had left a silent message. Wisdom, patience, and responsibility are stronger than brute force. Suddenly, the holographic archive shifted, displaying new information. Coordinates, star maps, and schematics appeared for regions of space previously unknown. Karen's heart raced. These maps could lead them to other legacy worlds, each holding secrets of human greatness. More worlds, Karen whispered. They weren't just on this planet. They spread their knowledge, their technology, all across the galaxy. Some may still be hidden, waiting for someone worthy to find them. Jara's voice was quiet, filled with awe and fear. And the galaxy thinks humans are extinct. They have no idea what we found. Karen smiled faintly, though unease remained in his mind. Exactly. We have a choice. We can protect this knowledge, learn from it, and perhaps help shape a future the galaxy has never known. Or we can leave it to be discovered by those who will misuse it. For the first time, he understood the full scope of humanity's disappearance. Humans had not been weak. They had deliberately hidden their achievements to protect the galaxy from itself. They had waited for the right moment, for the right people to rediscover their legacy. As the two explorers left the chamber, Karen glanced back one last time. The facility's lights pulsed softly as if acknowledging their presence. Holograms shimmered across the walls, showing humans working, exploring, and creating a civilization of brilliance, patience, and purpose. Outside, the wind swept across the ruined city, carrying dust and sand into the empty streets. The stars above seemed brighter, as if the galaxy itself had noticed something awakening below. Karen and Jara walked back to their vessel, their minds racing with the knowledge they had uncovered. The journey ahead was dangerous. Alien empires would not ignore the discovery of human technology for long. Yet for the first time in centuries, the galaxy had a glimpse of the truth. Humans were not extinct, not weak, and not forgotten. They had simply hidden, leaving a legacy that could change everything, and Karen knew this. The galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy had noticed the disturbance before Karen and Jara could even comprehend it. A faint energy pulse, unlike any naturally occurring signal, had spread across multiple star systems. Alien sensors honed for war and trade picked it up immediately. Within days, news of a hidden world with unknown technology traveled faster than any fleet could move. Rumors of a lost human facility reached the ears of Empire leaders, and each immediately recognized the threat or the opportunity. Karen watched from the observation deck of their small vessel as fleets began to converge in distant sectors. Ships of all shapes and sizes appeared on his screen, moving faster than expected, coordinating through channels he didn't recognize. The galaxy was reacting, not to a visible threat but to the hint of ancient human power. "They've sensed it," Jara said quietly, her hands gripping the edge of the console. "The galaxy knows something exists here. They're coming." Karen didn't respond immediately. His eyes stayed glued to the star map. "They don't understand. They see only technology. They don't know the humans who made it." Jara shivered. "Do we have any idea how much power we're talking about?" Karen shook his head. "Not fully. But this facility, these machines, humans designed them for defense, for intelligence, not destruction. And yet I think they could stop fleets if they needed to." The first alien ships arrived before dawn. They appeared above the ruined planet like a dark swarm, engines glowing, weapons ready. The fleet formations were tight, disciplined, and aggressive. Karen and Jara watched the approach with growing unease, but also with a strange anticipation. They were not mere explorers now. They were witnesses to a confrontation the galaxy had never imagined. "They're going to attack," Jara said, her voice tense. Karen shook his head. "Not yet. Humans built these systems carefully. They can sense intent. If the attackers try to harm the ruins, the defense systems will activate automatically." He guided their vessel down into the ruined city. The streets were empty, winds carrying dust over broken buildings. Machines within the ruins hummed faintly, reacting to the presence of the outsiders. The pulsing energy that had first drawn Karen here now spread across the city, forming a protective barrier that shimmered faintly in the dim light. "It's alive," Jara whispered. "The city. It's watching," Karen nodded. "Humans didn't leave this for destruction. They left it to survive and to protect knowledge. It will respond to anyone who comes with ill intent." The first alien ship fired a scanning pulse, trying to penetrate the city's defenses. Instantly, the energy systems reacted. Shields rose from the ground, forming barriers around the facility. Automated drones dormant for thousands of years activated silently, their metal surfaces gleaming as they took positions across the city. "They're not weapons," Karen said. "Not yet. They're guardians. They won't attack unless necessary. Humans designed them to protect their legacy, not to destroy everything that comes near." Outside, alien captains argued in real time, misreading the inactivity of the ruins as hesitation or weakness. They sent more ships trying to overwhelm the protective systems. Each time the drones moved with precision, disabling engines, disarming weapons, and redirecting energy without harming any living being. The alien leaders had no idea that they were facing technology that had outlasted centuries, responding faster than any crew could control. "Look at that," Jara said, her voice filled with awe. "They're stopping the attacks without firing a single shot." Karen watched carefully. Humans built machines to respond without bias. They won't destroy life unless absolutely necessary. That's why the ruins are still intact after all these years. Despite the chaos above, Karen remained focused. He guided Jara through the underground facility, deeper into chambers filled with star maps and archives. The human records were more than just technology. They were history, philosophy, and strategy, all designed to be understood by those capable of grasping their meaning. "We need to preserve this," Karen said. "If the galaxy breaches the defenses, everything humans left behind could be lost forever." Jara nodded. But how? The fleets are too strong. They'll never just leave. Karen smiled faintly. They won't destroy the facility. Humans ensured that. Their machines adapt. They respond to aggression. But they won't annihilate the world unless it's unavoidable. That gives us time. The alien fleets continued to test the city's defenses. Some ships tried to land only to find themselves caught in invisible force fields that gently pushed them away. Others attempted to board, only to have their systems disabled by silent drones. The city seemed almost intelligent, assessing every move and responding with precision. Karen realized something profound. Humans had not just built machines, they had built a form of judgment. Their technology could determine intent, decide the appropriate response, and act without emotion or error. The ruins were more than defense. They were a demonstration of human wisdom, patience, and foresight. Hours turned into days. The alien leaders grew frustrated. They expected to seize powerful technology quickly, but instead they found themselves stalled by unseen forces. Rumors spread among their fleets. Tales of a lost human civilization whose machines could disable entire ships without harming life. Whispers grew into fear. Humans, though long gone, were remembered now as something far greater than any empire had anticipated. Karen and Jara moved through the facility, studying the archives. They discovered records detailing human philosophy, their methods of exploration, and their approach to technology. Humans had built not to conquer but to preserve knowledge and life. Every invention, every archive, every defensive system reflected a commitment to wisdom over power. They were perfect in ways we can barely understand, Jara said softly. And now, we're witnessing it firsthand, Karen nodded. We have a responsibility. Humans trusted someone to find this legacy. We are the first since they vanished. If we fail, the galaxy could misuse their knowledge and all their wisdom would be lost. The city continued to hum, responding to each new movement, each new scan from the alien ships above. Occasionally, Karen caught glimpses of human holograms activating silently, as if the long-dead creators were observing their work. The city's response was more than technology. It was judgment, guidance, and protection all at once. They're alive in a way, Jara said. Not as people, but as intelligence. A mind that watches, learns, and defends. Karen smiled faintly. Exactly. And that's why the galaxy fears them. Even without seeing them, humans were never just strong. They were clever, patient, and wise. And the galaxy never realized it until now. Night fell over the ruins, but the city remained illuminated by the soft glow of its own energy. Outside, alien ships continued their attempts to gain access, but each was thwarted effortlessly. The two explorers felt a mixture of awe and tension. Human ingenuity had created this balance, and yet the threat of violence lingered above them. Finally, after days of observation, Karen and Jara rested. They knew that the ruins would continue to protect themselves, that the fleets above would eventually retreat or escalate, and that the next steps they took would determine the future of the galaxy. Humans had prepared for this moment. Their machines had chosen to awaken, and now the galaxy would learn that the past was far more powerful than anyone had imagined. Karen stood in the central chamber, looking at the holographic star maps. This is only the beginning, he said quietly. We've seen their defenses. We've seen their wisdom. But there's more. More knowledge, more worlds. And if the galaxy wants to survive, it will have to learn from humans, not fight them. Jara nodded, though fear lingered in her eyes. Then we keep exploring. We find the legacy worlds, and we make sure the galaxy doesn't destroy what humans left behind. The city hummed in agreement, energy flowing through every corridor and chamber. For the first time in centuries, humans' silent guardians had awakened, demonstrating not only the strength of their technology, but the brilliance of their philosophy. The galaxy, once arrogant and unaware, was about to face a force far older, wiser, and more patient than anyone had imagined. And in the silence of the ruins, Karen understood the truth. The humans had never truly vanished. They had merely waited for the moment when their legacy would matter most. The ruins hummed with life, though no humans had yet walked their halls. Karen and Jara had watched fleets come and go, witnessed alien powers frustrated by the facility's defenses, and explored chambers filled with knowledge that had been hidden for millennia. Every step had revealed more of the human legacy, technology, philosophy, and a wisdom that was unmatched anywhere in the galaxy. And yet, The most remarkable part remained hidden. Karen stood in the central chamber, tracing the holographic star maps that connected the legacy worlds. He realized the full scale of what humans had left behind. This was more than technology. It was a plan, a preparation. Humans had anticipated the galaxy's growth, the rise of empires, and the mistakes that would come with ambition. They had left guidance, intelligence, and tools for anyone capable of understanding their intent. They weren't gone, Karen whispered. They were waiting. Waiting for the right time and the right witnesses. Jara looked around, still awed by the pulsing lights, the floating holograms, and the silent machines that moved with purpose. And now, the galaxy will know. Humans were never weak, they were something else entirely. As if answering her words, a section of the floor shifted. A massive panel slid open, revealing rows of cryogenic pods. Karen's eyes widened. The pods were perfectly preserved, untouched by time. Each one contained a human, their features calm and serene, as though they were sleeping rather than frozen in time. Jara gasped. They're alive. Yes, Karen said softly, stepping closer. Humans didn't disappear. They prepared. They preserved themselves until the galaxy was ready, or until it needed them. One pod glowed brighter than the others, responding to Karen's presence. He touched a panel and the pod hissed open. Steam escaped and a human slowly sat up, blinking at the world that had changed so dramatically since their time. Their eyes were sharp, intelligent, and calm. The first human spoke, though their voice was quiet, almost measured. You have preserved what we left behind. You understand then? Karen nodded, words catching in his throat. Yes, we've seen your legacy. Your cities, your technology, your wisdom. The galaxy doesn't understand yet, but it will. The human rose, stretching limbs that had not moved for centuries. Good, it must. They will need to understand, or the mistakes of the past will repeat themselves. Jara stepped forward cautiously. They're real. After all this time, humans are real. The human nodded slowly. We are, and now we awaken. Not to conquer, but to guide. The galaxy has changed, yes, but so have we. Our purpose remains to protect, to teach, to restore balance where it has been lost. Above the planet, alien fleets paused, unsure how to respond. They had felt the facility's defenses, seen them in action, but had never expected what was unfolding. Humans, long thought extinct, were returning, and with them came not weapons alone, but judgment, wisdom, and understanding beyond any alien's reach. Karen realized the truth. The humans had built not only machines, but trust. They had left guardians to prevent misuse of their power, and they had waited until those who could respect it were present. The awakened human moved through the ruins, touching machines, activating dormant systems. Light flowed along conduits, illuminating entire chambers as if the facility itself was breathing. Holographic records shifted, displaying not only maps and technology, but stories, philosophies, and instructions. Guides to rebuild and restore. Jara watched in awe. They're teaching, not fighting. Everything they do is to prepare, not destroy. Yes, Karen said. This is what the galaxy has forgotten. Humans were never just strong. They were wise, patient. They built for the long term, for understanding, for life itself. Word of the awakening spread faster than fleets could fly. Alien civilizations, previously arrogant and dismissive, began to reconsider their assumptions. Some hesitated, afraid of the human return. Others tried to communicate cautiously, through messages and signals. Yet the humans were deliberate. They acted with precision, assessing intent before allowing contact. Their machines had prepared the way, ensuring that no aggression would succeed without consequence. On the planet's surface, more pods began to awaken. Humans stretched, looked around, and began speaking softly among themselves. Each one carried knowledge, experience, and purpose. Karen and Jara watched, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what they were witnessing. The galaxy's myth was no longer myth. Humanity was alive, patient, and fully aware of its power. The first human turned to Karen. You were chosen to witness this. You have seen what we built, what we preserved. The galaxy must learn. Will you help us? Karen bowed his head slightly. Yes, I've seen your wisdom, your plans, and your legacy. I will help ensure the galaxy understands, not fears, what humans were and are. The humans nodded, and the ruins responded in kind. Machines stirred. Energy flowed along ancient conduits, and the facility seemed to breathe with life. The city was alive not just with technology but with intention and intelligence. It was a testament to human foresight, creativity, and care. Outside, the alien fleets began to retreat slowly, sensing the change. They had underestimated humans for centuries. Now even the most powerful empires understood that humans were not only alive, they were guardians of a legacy that could not be ignored, controlled, or taken by force. Karen and Jara followed the humans through the ruins as they activated more systems, each one revealing new secrets. Star maps, energy systems, and vast libraries of knowledge unfolded before them. Humans were reconnecting with the galaxy, not as conquerors but as guides. They had returned not to dominate, but to restore balance, to share their wisdom, and to teach the value of patience, intelligence, and responsibility. As night fell, the stars above the planet seemed to shine brighter. The galaxy, once arrogant and divided, held its breath. It was not just the humans who had returned. Their legacy, their philosophy, and their understanding of life itself had awakened. One of the humans turned to Karen and Jara. The galaxy has bowed to empires for centuries. Now it will learn humility. Not through fear, but through understanding. This is the way forward. Karen felt a shiver run through him. He had witnessed history, but this was beyond history. It was a rebirth, a reminder that intelligence, patience, and wisdom could outlast time itself. Humans had returned not with violence, but with vision, and as the humans stepped out into the light, guided by the ruins and the knowledge they had preserved, Karen realized the galaxy had changed forever. The age of arrogance was ending, and the age of humanity, patient, clever, and enduring, had begun. The stars reflected in human eyes, full of purpose and understanding. The galaxy, for the first time in millennia, understood that humans were not a memory to be ignored. They were a force that could shape the future of every world. The legacy of humanity was no longer forgotten. It had returned,